This is Tech House and Speed.
The Wednesday rally car practice at X Games was a little chest pounding and some let me see what you got from everyone, especially the heavy hitters and medal favorites. But everyone paid attention to former IRL champion and Indy 500 winner Kenny Brack. He has some X factors for X Games. He's comfortable with speed and walls, two things that are unique to X Games for rally drivers and guys who win at Indy. The big X factor, though, might be Brack's past. He grew up in Sweden, where a rite of passage includes some going fast and throwing cars sideways. Brack's return to competition follows an accident that nearly took his life in 2003. He returned to Indy in 2005, his getting back in the saddle moment. But this X Games is special because
I feel this is a good form of motorsport because it's quite accessible for a driver. I mean, when you drive Indy cars, you have to be at the gym two hours a day. Here you can jump back in it, and because the G-forces aren't that high. The cars are obviously not, they're extreme for a road car, of course, but from a racing perspective, there's quite a big difference. This is more like qualifying in racing, I would say. You go out and you try to set a really good lap. So this is more like that. And of course, for the spectators, you have two cars on track, so you can actually follow who might be in front and see how they advance. But from the driver perspective, it's more like a qualifying effort, yeah.
is there a future in this for you? Or are you looking at this and saying, hey, I'd like to do this one day?
Well, like I run a driver development program now. I'm helping, financing, coaching younger drivers. For me, I'm not going to go back into motorsports full time. That's not in my plans for the future. But doing one-off fun.
Even sports cars?
No, I'm not going to go back into it full time. But this thing is a different field of motorsports, which I find very interesting. And like I said, it's very accessible too. You can jump into this, and you depend on your previous experiences and your know-how about driving, and it's a lot of improvising in this thing. So I think it suits me quite well, and you can do one-off events and have fun with it.
Talk a little bit about driver safety right now, especially in the wake of the Felipe Massa accident in Formula One. I imagine there's a lot of people that are going to say that maybe we should have a closed cockpit in open wheel. Is that something that you would buy into?
Well, you can argue that, but an open wheel car, that's the purest form of motorsport there is, and I think that motorsport in general is you're never going to make it risk-free, because it's just not the nature of the sport. Just the same as any other, boxing or American football or whatever you like. There is the element of risk involved for the athletes.
When you get into a car now, is all of that your crash and your recovery, is all of that behind you? Do you still bring some of that into the seat with you?
No, it is. I don't bring that into the seat, because that was one of my goals, getting back into IndyCar racing and making a comeback at the Indy 500 in 2005 was, I wanted to prove to myself that I was fully recovered. And what better receipt can you get than going into the Indy 500 and being competitive? I mean, then you're back to where you were before the accident, and then the future is in your hands, and you take that decision how you want to play the future.
The last and final, Kenny Brack retired?
In some senses, yes, and in some senses, no. You never retire. I thought when I was driving that one day I will retire from driving. And
have the big news conference and invite everybody.
Yeah, and I'll be retired. But some people just never retire. You just change his focus. And for me, that means you go from driving to something else, and you're still pushing, and you fly around as much, and you just don't want to stay home on the sofa. That's just the personality.
You take the same personality no matter what you're doing, and generally that doesn't fit behind the desk.
No, that's pretty much it.
This is Tech House and Speed.